Hi,
Good,
Candace.
good morning, everyone. Hi.
All right. Got a bunch of stuff to share with you today. Who wants to share about their weekend? Any positive, cool stuff that they did, whether it's related to real estate or not related to real estate that they'd like to share?
I got a question.
Okay.
Or I'll share a positive first. A door knocked, met a bunch of people. It was super fun. It's my gig. I like it. So that
like
was
that.
good. And I bought a pair of shoes, and actually the lady that sold me the shoes might turn out to be a client. She's starting to look. So,
Awesome.
but a question I have, and I know it's maybe off topic and we can shelve it till later, but looking at a house and looked back, and it's got a very bizarre lineage as far as, it's like an administrator's deed and a foreclosure deed. And, then there was a construction loan taken out, and the neighbors have said there's been flood damage, but my buyer still is thinking about putting an offer on it.
Okay.
And they don't want to give a disclosure. It says in the notes, sold without disclosure, but at the same time, they have to reveal if there's been flood damage in the basement, right? And I can ask the agent about that.
There's a lot of gray area there because, theoretically, they are only required to disclose what they're aware of. And they could potentially say, I don't know anything about this, right? The disclosure, this is a really interesting point. The disclosure statement is not, I know this sounds a little cynical, but it's not really designed to inform the buyer. It's designed to protect the seller, right? So, for example, there's nothing that would stop somebody from, I think it's fair to say we all know people with questionable ethics, right? So if somebody were to say, hey, I don't know anything about any flooding, never seen it myself, right? And then the person buys the home, and then they realize, a week later that the place has had massive plumbing problems or flooding problems in the past when they have an engineer come out or whatever, then they could sue the seller for, potentially lying on the disclosure statement. That's super, super messy. So there's no obligation that the seller provide a disclosure statement. Okay. So especially if it was like a inherited property or something like that, they could just say no disclosure. And to some degree, they could be being honest if they didn't physically deal with the water problems themselves. It's a buyer beware state, Georgia is. So you have all the opportunities that you want to investigate flooding concerns or anything else that might be problematic to you. Now, you did mention a couple of things with the deed and all that stuff. That would be resolved with a title search. So I wouldn't be overwhelmingly concerned about that right now. However, it's not always the case that when somebody is not willing to disclose something, that's an automatic red flag that says there's problems here. However, I would be a little bit more concerned about things that the neighbors are sharing with you and things that you can identify yourself. Does it make sense?
It does. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. I know Rose wanted to share something really fast. Tell us what's going on, Rose. What did you experience last week?
What do you mean? What did I experience last week?
I came in there and I said, come on and tell us something awesome. And you came right on. So tell us something awesome.
Oh gosh. Something awesome. Shoot. I feel like I said it on Friday. Well,
I challenged you to get one more listing or one more appointment before the end of the month, which you did.
Yeah.
You did promptly. Great job on
yes. Thank you.
that. And you're starting to see some of the fruits of your labor, even from a few months ago, where you were having nice conversations, you were adding people to the database, you were committed and systematized with following up with them. And now they're starting to have some real needs. Is that right?
Yeah, I knew it was a long game, but I was also impatient at the same time, where it was like I was calling people and I knew that what I was doing wasn't actually going to show any results for a few months, but still I kept coming in here and I was, to be honest, getting a little bit frustrated because it was like, I don't have a closing set up yet or any of that stuff. And I always worry, like, where's, like, I always wonder, just like, I wonder where my next closing is going to come from. Like, I wonder if it's going to be somebody I know or somebody I cold called or who, what. And then somehow it always ends up working out perfectly fine. So I don't even know why I wonder that anymore. But I started cold calling in October. The very first day I called, I got somebody that said that they were thinking about buying or selling. And then he and I have been keeping in contact for a little bit. And he called me last week, the day I was actually about to go stop by his house. And on my way there, he called me and said, hey, there's a house we really want to see. Can we go see it? And I thought, oh, this would be like a perfect chance to meet him. I'll go show him and his wife. I'll go show them this house and we'll talk. And I know that they're not like super serious yet, but it'll just help build a relationship. And so actually last week, I've never met anybody that I cold called except for last week. I met 2 people that I cold called.
And they were real.
They were real. They're real
And
people.
they wanted to do business.
And they wanted to do business. It's a lot different when you meet them in person and then talk to them face to face. So yeah, one of them is in the process now of buying and selling it, but she's still really nervous. So and then Candace, I'll have to get your input on it because she's buying in a 55 up community. So I don't know a whole lot about that.
Absolutely. I'll be glad to help you.
But yeah, this is a show that
Bill,
cold
can I
calling
share?
really does work.
Wait, say that one more time. I want to make sure everyone heard that.
Oh, I wanted to say this just goes to show that cold calling really does work.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's
Can
do
I share,
one
Bill?
more. I'm sorry. Yeah, Marquita, go
Can I
ahead.
Okay. So I had a lot of activity over the weekend. Me and Tawantis actually met in the office on Saturday and did some cold calls, and I actually signed up for Mojo, so I actually learned how to work that system. So that was pretty good. And then right afterwards, I had a showing, and I put an offer in on yesterday. And then I had another showing for a new construction yesterday, and they're gonna go ahead and apply with the lenders. So a lot of good activity with buyers.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for sharing. I got a bunch of news I want to share with you. For those that were not on the call on Friday, I don't know if she's in everyone's upper left-hand corner, but in my upper left-hand corner is Candace Story, who is our new productivity coaching partner. And she has a wealth of information and a wealth of experience that she's going to be bringing to our group. She is now in our WhatsApp, so our help group, our announcements page, and both the growth group and the launch group chats. So you can reach her directly through WhatsApp or of course text or phone as well. We have sent out emails to the group describing some of the changes that we've made in the productivity coaching program as well. I just want to kind of recite a few of those real fast while I got you guys here, and then we'll quickly move into the Life by Design form, okay? So what we are going to be doing is, remember the growth group and the launch group are still going to have their masterminds weekly. And we're going to get a little bit more intentional and strategic with the lessons that we're going to be having dialogues with you guys around those 2 groups. So for newer agents, we're going to be focusing on the common goals of growing your business, navigating the overwhelm, creating your business plans, listing and buyer presentations, learning the powerful habits of lead generation, systems and mindset, studying the market trends, becoming fluent in writing and negotiating contracts, internalizing your scripts and dialogues, and integrating technology and leverage. And what I consider to be most important is confidence, right? If you're confident in what you're saying, people trust you. If you're not confident, we got to get you confident, right? For more experienced agents, we're going to focus on kind of a little bit next level stuff, right? Daily activities necessary to accomplish your goals, fine-tuning the systems and tools that will help you scale your business quickly and address any challenges or concerns that we're facing each week. Making sure that you're getting comfortable with tracking and accountability and starting to think like a business owner. We're going to learn about language skills, financial and organizational models, and making sure that we are living up to the Keller Williams belief system of creating careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. Does that sound fair? Okay, this Tuesday will be the first time that I have tomorrow basically open Zoom office hours, if you will, from 8 to 8:30. So if you have any questions about anything you want to go over, the room will be open. This room will be open from 8 to 8:30, and that will be Tuesday. And then Candace will be doing something similarly on Thursday. We'll have a link sent out to you guys and probably posted into the WhatsApp group here shortly with Candace's Zoom room as well as my Zoom room, so it's not too confusing on where to go for a variety of different things. So starting tomorrow from 8 to 8:30 on Tuesdays, I'll have this room open and you can pop in if you need me. And same thing for Candace on Thursday. This Wednesday and Friday, Candace will be at the Market Center from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock for basically an open office kind of meet and greet. So I would encourage you to swing by to elbow bump with her and to make sure she knows who you are and she knows what you're hoping to accomplish. Because look, if we can't help you get to where you want to be, then we're not that great of business partners for you. So I want you to be direct with us, be open and vulnerable with us, and we will return the favor by holding you accountable and helping you create the plan to get there. Okay. We are going to start 2 live lead generation events each week. Tomorrow from 9 to 11, and that'll be me. And then Thursday from 9 to 11 will be Candace. We're probably going to just do it that way for this week, and then we'll switch. So I'll probably be Thursday, and Candace in the long run will probably be Tuesday. If you're not familiar with lead generation, if you don't have any confidence, if you want to see it in action, this will be a great opportunity for you to do so. Okay, so you can either call in the same room as us, or you can just watch for a bit. Okay. We are also
Sorry to interrupt. Is all because I'm having trouble like keeping up with this. Is this posted in the announcements, or I'm looking on the weekly thing? I'm not seeing it. Maybe
so the weekly email that I sent out yesterday, week at a glance for productivity coaching 2/28/21.
Yeah, it's at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean it's maybe middle of the way.
Okay.
It's actually towards the top.
Okay.
So let's see. We're also going to be adding a couple of additional classes this week. Just for Roswell, we're going to have a scripts and role play class on Thursday at 12:30 and a business planning session Wednesday at 3. So business planning session Wednesday at 3 and a scripts and role play class Thursday at 12:30. And Candace, you had organized something with Alec from Shelter Mortgage that I believe is on Wednesday. Would you like to tell us about that?
Sure. So one of the things I was going to suggest that Bill and I have talked about is you can learn while you're building your social media presence. So I'm going to be interviewing Alex about FHA mortgages, and it's an opportunity for you. It's going to be in the office at 12:30 on Wednesday. If you'd like to come and listen in, you're welcome to come and listen in. And then I'll be posting it on my social media. And the thing that I'd like to say is you can do this with any of your vendors. If you want to learn a little bit more about inspections, interview an inspector. If you want to learn a little bit more about mortgages, like I said, maybe VA loans, interview one of the lenders that we have access to. So, and then you can post it on social media and you start providing value to the database.
I love that. So Candace will be not only helping us get the information from Alec about FHA, but also showing us an example of how we can interview other vendors and create some value to share with our social media networks as well. And by the way, when you, let's say you are interview, ABC Home Inspector or ABC Lender, right? They're going to share that with their networks too, right? And tag you appropriately and all of that. So this is a great way to quickly expand your audience and to help your people know, help your prospects know that you're in the business of education, right? Okay, the new calendar is out, so please make sure you take a look at this. This is in the office. I suspect if Melody will be sending it out this morning. Today from 11:30 to 12:30 on kwroswelltraining.com, I will be teaching a class on business planning. So from 11:30 to 12:30 today on KW Roswell Training, I'll be teaching a class on business planning, and would love to have you there. There's also almost every single day, guys, Sam is doing some type of command class. So if you're not as strong as you'd like to be in command, please take some time to attend his classes. You'll get a lot out of it, okay? And while I'm thinking about it, Wednesday from 4:30 to 5:30, there is a book club for the social equity, Georgia Legacy Social Equity book club is starting on Wednesday, and we'll be meeting for the Wednesdays for the next 4 weeks, starting with this upcoming Wednesday. And the book that they're reading is called The Color of Law. It's really interesting. I have not read the book in full, but I've read some reviews about it. Is basically how, I mean, it's a bit controversial, but there's a lot of, I mean, it's pretty much very factual too, right? How has the government been involved in creating different neighborhoods and segregations among neighborhoods throughout America in the last like 70, 80 years. So very, very interesting. You guys are in the business of helping buyers and sellers, and there's a lot of history that you should probably be familiar with. So I'm going to encourage anyone that wants to participate 4:30 to 5:30 on Wednesdays throughout the month of March, okay? Except for the last week. So the 3rd, the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th. Okay. The other thing that we are going to be doing, let me just double check to make sure I have not. Okay, for newer agents, we are going to be transitioning into a small group format for the for coaching. So everyone has now received an email that has been assigned to a small group. So please take a look. These were sent out Friday just before lunchtime. Please make sure that the group is, the time I should say, is acceptable. The day and the time is acceptable for your schedule. If it is not, just write me in private and I will do my best to do a little bit of rearranging. And that begins tonight. So there will be some sessions from 7:30 to 7:50, 7:50 to 7:20, or to 8:10, and 8:10 to 8:30. Okay, so please do your best to attend those sessions. And just a friendly reminder that yesterday was the last day of the month of February. So I'd love it if everyone can just take a moment and make sure that all of the reporting that was due throughout the month of February has been updated in our system, and we can turn in my final numbers for you guys' activities. So right now we're a little over goal for total appointments. We're a little under goal for listings taken, but I'm real proud of your efforts. So please just take 2 minutes and get them on paper so that we can all see it, and I won't have to bother you again. Is that fair? Okay. I spend like close to an hour probably putting together that weekly email. I'm just simply asking you guys to spend about 15 seconds reporting your numbers, okay? Thank you. I'm reporting mine. You can see everything I'm up to, okay? Nobody gave me a hard time for being behind in external appointments. You guys checking my numbers? All right, just playing with you. All right, let's talk about the Life by Design. Does anyone have any questions on any of that?
Everything you said's in the emails, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, this is a document called the Life, oh, let me share my screen, sorry.
Bill, I still can't see your screen.
Yeah, and I got the black screen of death here for a second. Okay, I think I'm good. Can you hear me now or see me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, what I want to, we can get really in the weeds with this really quickly. So I want to just kind of give you a kind of a basic overview of what this document represents. Okay, what we're doing here is we're trying to figure out essentially two main concepts. Number one is, how profitable do we want our business to be, right? What are we expecting from our business, or quite frankly, what do we need from our business in order for this whole thing to work, right? Now, Keller Williams talks a lot about a concept called the 30-30-40. Okay, so you take your gross commission income, you subtract 30% for cost of sale, you subtract 30% for operating expenses, and you're left with 40%. Now, there's pretty much no business in the world that I'm aware of that has anywhere close to 40% profit margins. So you guys should be feeling good that you chose the right business, okay? A lot of businesses are anywhere from 6 or 7% profit up towards like 20-25% profit. 40% profit, pretty much unheard of, okay? The good news is we've created some models to help you understand how to get there, okay? So what we want to, and by the way, this form is in our Google Drive. It's been there for a long time, okay? Let's quickly go through what this means. It's kind of a combination of a personalized budget and a business budget, okay? So at the very top, what we do is we try to figure out, I'm going to come back to the very top so you can kind of see where it's at. The goal of the very top is to have some cash once we're done paying for all the things we got to pay for, to have some cash to actually invest or save or to spend, okay? If our business is not profitable, then we've got no profits to spend. And if you're merging your personal money and your business money, and it kind of all gets, you know, jumbled together, then you're not doing yourself, that's not the right way to do it, because you're potentially disguising the fact that your business is not profitable. Does that make sense? And your personal savings is bailing out your business, right? You want to have separate accounts. You need to prove to yourself at all times that what you're doing in real estate is creating profit, okay? So let's jump down to personal expenses for a second. These are annual personal expenses, and it gives you some examples of the things that you need to pay for, right? Housing payment, food, utilities, student loans, credit cards, childcare, insurance, life insurance, entertainment, all that kind of stuff, okay? And I ask you to total up all of those expenses and then add the taxes for your total tax rate. So you can add your tax rate. If you don't have one, I'm going to encourage you to add about 30%, okay? So if all this stuff adds up to 25,000 and you add 30% to that, what is that? That's around $33,000, $34,000 that you need to earn in order to pay for all this kind of stuff. Then we look at, well, how many dollars do I make per paycheck, right? So let's just say, for example, you make $10,000 per paycheck. Then you need to have, let's say, 4 transactions per year in order to pay for all these personal expenses. Does that make sense? So there's a little math involved. I can help you. Candace can help you. It's fairly simple, but don't be afraid to ask us for a little bit of help. So you tally up all the expenditures that you have on a personal basis, and what you're trying to do is figure out how many closings do I need to have in order to afford that. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is talk about cost of sales. Cost of sales for our business is basically anything that is triggered with a sale. Let me give you an example. For pretty much all of you at this stage, cost of sales should be simply your coaching fee, your Keller Williams 30%, your 6% that goes to Keller Williams International, and any referrals that you pay out, okay? So those are the only things that are triggered specifically by a closing. So for example, hiring a photographer to take pictures at your listing, that's an expense. because theoretically you can make that expense and still never have a closing. So the only things that we call cost of sale are the things that happen because there was a sale. Okay, because there was a sale, you owe Keller Williams a little bit. Because there was a sale, you owe me a little bit, right? So generally speaking, that's going to be the $15,000 market center cap, the $3,000 royalty fee, and 10% of your GCI for your coaching fee. Okay, so you add all that up. Let's just say, for example, that's $25,000. That's going to be another 2 or 3 sales per year that you'll need in order to pull that off. Does that make sense? So let's just say, for example, we're up to 6 sales right now. 7. Great question. That is not something that Keller Williams, really instructs us, because FMLS is unique to Atlanta or to Georgia. But yes, I would agree with Donna. The FMLS fee would be considered a cost of sale, in my opinion. There may be somebody that disagrees with that, but I'm going to go ahead and encourage you to do that. So what would that be? You take your 0.0012 times the sales price. Let's say the average sales price is $300,000. $360 would be a cost of sale. Does everyone follow that, what I'm talking about with FMLS fees? Okay, without looking at your faces, I don't know whether you look confused or not. Everyone's face I can see looks like they firmly understand what I'm talking about. That is paid prior to you getting paid, Greta. So the money that you receive from the office, that is net of all of the people that need to be paid, including FMLS. Is there a version of this form as an Excel format? Not that I'm aware of, although my assistant can put this together in 5 minutes. Would you like me to do that? Okay, hang on. I will have that in Excel format momentarily on the chat, okay?
Great, thanks.
Okay, next, we're gonna go to expenses. So the MREA 2 suggests that your expenses should be roughly 30% of your gross commission income. These are an example of your expenditures: salaries, benefits, professional services, like if you pay a contract to close company, lead generation and listings management. That might be where you pay for Facebook ads, or you pay for keeping current matters, or you pay for, somebody to, basically keep, data entry or something like that. Occupancy, that's like if you rent space at the office. Education and coaching, although coaching I probably would not put here. That's kind of the difference between this coaching and other coaching. Other coaching, you basically pay a fee, whether it has anything to do with closings or not. This coaching is based on a closing, so that's why I would call it a cost of sale. If you wrote a check to somebody for $500 a month and it had nothing to do with closings, then it would be considered an expense. Does that make sense to you guys? Now, I know some of this may seem a little bit kind of higher level, if you will. I got some news for you guys. This is going to feel a little tough. You are a business owner now. Okay, you may not have a very robust business, and it may not be profitable yet you are a business owner. And these are concepts of a business owner. So the faster you can learn this stuff and get more and more comfortable with it, the better. Okay. I love this stuff. If you have questions, let's talk. Okay. Is that fair? Okay. So what are some of the other expenses of your business, right? It may, under certain circumstances, be your car. It may be when you go to Office Depot to get, printer paper. It could be when you buy a new computer. It could be some type of software that you bought, right? It could be a lot of different things. So these are all of your expenditures, right? Now you add back taxes on that, and you say to yourself, well, how many commission checks do I need to earn to pay that, right? So if we keep to the kind of standard model that we just discussed, it would be similar to the cost of sale up here. And I believe we said there was, what did we say? It was like four, what did we say? 4 transactions, I think it was. That we, yeah, 4 transactions that we need to pay for cost of sale. So we need, I think, 3 I'm sorry, let me start over. 4 transactions to pay for your personal expenses, 3 transactions to pay for your cost of sale for your business, and 4 more to pay for your expenses of your business. So now we're at 11 transactions, and we have 0 profit, essentially, after we paid for our personal expenses. So then the question becomes is, what kind of profit do we want? Do we want to buy an investment property this year? Do we need to send our kids to private school? Did we budget for vacations? Do we want to reinvest in our business? Do we need to save because we're on a growth trajectory and we're probably going to hire somebody at some point, right? So what else are you seeking? How many other dollars are you seeking so that you can have the life worth living that you were originally striving for, right? So if you sell 11 homes, you will pay all of your expenses. You will pay whatever you budgeted for right here, but not a nickel more. And you'll be even with myself and KW and our office, but you won't have $1 of profit. So if you sell less than 11 sales, and this is relative to what your expenses are, of course. But if you sell less than 11 sales, you're going to be in the hole before you're profitable. Do you guys see how important it is to not just throw up random numbers as your goal and just be willy-nilly about how you spend your hours? Does that make sense? Do you also see how powerful it could be? Yes, that is very true. That is very true. I have a very, I like my guy a lot, but he's not particularly liberal, meaning he's not, his background is from auditing. So what I mean by a liberal accountant is somebody who's like, on the more risky side, if you will, of filing taxes. My guy is a bit more on the not a risk averse side, but he is a whiz, right? And so it's important that you have somebody, knowing that you're going to build a big business, that can help you get organized and track things the way that you need to get tracked, so that you're not paying late fees to the IRS and all these kind of things. Okay. Remember, when you get your check from the office, you have not paid taxes yet. Okay. As real estate agents, we are supposed to be paying quarterly estimates, right? You're not supposed to pay your tax bill all at once in April or later, right? We're supposed to pay quarterly estimates. Okay. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to sit down with a CPA and learn how to structure this business from the beginning. Okay. What I would do if I was you, I would walk into my accountant's office and say, this is the model I follow. You can reference the budget model, which I'll be following very closely on page 150 or whatever. I'm going to make a big business here. Would you like to be my partner? I don't want to follow your spreadsheet. I want to follow this spreadsheet. Would you like to be partners? And if they give you any roundabout, you walk out the door and you go find another CPA. Make sense? Okay. There are several CPAs that do business specifically with Keller Williams agents and know these models backwards and forwards. Okay. Okay. So let's say, for example, that we want to have $50,000 worth of profit. Okay. We're going to take 30 of it. We're going to buy an investment home, and we're going to take 20 of it, and we're going to put it in some kind of stock or something. So how many more closings is that? Let's say that's 5 more closings. So if we don't get to 16 closings, is it fair to say we might not have a life by design? We might just have a life by default. So quick vote. Who would prefer a life by design rather than a life by default? Okay. So the proof is in the systems that you are abiding by to show you and those closest to you and your advisors and your partners and your coaches that you mean business, right? Your calendar and your plan will convict you. It'll either convict you as a super strategic, well-organized business person that's intentional about his or her every move, or it will convict you as somebody who has absolutely no idea what they're doing and they're just trying to stay afloat. And it's okay. Many of us are new to the business. If you're there, let's have a conversation about setting up these types of models so that we're not just ending up with whatever we end up with at the end of the year. Does that make sense? Is there any questions on this document?
Bill, I don't know if we have anything, but I would love to have, I'm struggling a little bit with tracking my expenses. Like, do we have, I don't know exactly what's allowable, what's not. Is there something in our roadmaps file that would be helpful?
There is this document, which let me show you this really fast. And I apologize, I kind of nerded out a little bit on this when I first built it, and Candace has promised to help me unnerd it a little bit. But I want to show you this really fast. Okay, this is in every single person's MREA2 document that we've created privately. There's another tab called the budget model tab. For many of us, this is a little bit much, but I want to show this to you because MREA2 has, at all of your different income levels right here, has gone in and said, what should your expenses be, best practices, as a function of your income. So at $150,000, you should be spending 5.6% on salaries, 2.2% on professional services, right? 2.9% on occupancy. So it kind of makes sure that you're staying in kind of the bracket of best practices. So here's Greta, this would be kind of step number one in organizing your expenditures, is this right here, is salaries, professional services, listings management, prospecting, occupancy, education and coaching, supplies and office expenses, communication and technology, automobile, equipment and furnishings, insurance. That's probably a good starter. The other thing that I might throw in there is travel. And another thing I might throw in there is food and entertainment, right? So basically, and I'm not an accountant here, but I will tell you that just about everything that you do in the process of obtaining a client and servicing a client and thanking a client with limits is deductible. Okay, so connect with a tax guy, tax woman, and make sure that you know how to help them make it easy for them, right? So you could basically take put all this on a spreadsheet and then have January, February, March, April, May, and every month at the end of the month, you go in and say, hey, let's look at my credit card and see what I spent money on. So that begs another question, which is you should have a business account, right? You should consider opening up an LLC, going to get a business account, getting a business credit card. It's not a discussion of whether you use credit or not. It's as a function of getting organized, right? Every time you're doing a business expense, use your business card. When you're buying dinner for your family, that has nothing to do with business. Don't use your business card. And at the end of the year or the end of the month, you can come in and say, okay, well, that was education, and that was for printer paper, and this was for a coaching class that I took, and these kind of things, right? So everything is nice and simple. You don't have to get too in the weeds with this was these are my breakfast bills and these are my lunch bills. Like, you don't have to get in the weeds like that. But everything that you do in the process of doing business, you should be keeping track of those expenditures. Pam, I knew you were going to say something. Pam is the biggest rule keeper of all. Pam, tell me everything that I
No.
misspoke on.
Okay, I'm not the biggest rule keeper of all. Because if I think it's a stupid rule, I won't follow it. But well, first of all, I think Bill said this, but have a business checking, and if you use credit cards, a business credit card that you use for nothing other than business. You put everything in there that all your checks, and you pull everything out of there when you're doing a business expense. If you ever get audited, you will be very thankful you have done this. And the other thing is, you have to watch the meals expenses. The IRS has cracked down on that. Like, you only get to deduct 50% of it. And you need to note on any expense you're going to have, you need to have a receipt for it. And you need to note on that receipt, like who you met, what you talked about.
Yeah, as
Again,
opposed to just printing out like the credit card statement that says, hey, I spent, $40 at Chili's, and, $85 at, like,
and matching it up with your calendar that said who you met there. You need to have the physical receipts for them.
See, even the government requires tracking.
Yes. And, the other thing is mileage. If, and this is something everybody should talk to a CPA before they start. I'll admit I did not, but my mother-in-law used to be an IRS enrolled agent, which allows non-CPAs to argue in front of the IRS for clients. So she'd taken tests and stuff to do that. So she advised me how to set up, my business. And, you should have, you should track mileage every time, mileage, or there's two ways you can deduct. You can either deduct your mileage or you can deduct auto expenses. And once you decide which way you're going, you have to stick with that way for that vehicle. And if you're going to do mileage, I highly recommend an app called Mile IQ. And at the end of every day, I just swipe left or right to say whether that, it tracks you, like you travel someplace, you stop, it'll put that in there. And I just swipe left or right to say where I went, to say whether it was business or personal. It will make your life 1,000 times easier. It's like $70 a year.
There you go.
And I just wanted to add that when Bill said, the tax rate that you should count on is about 30%. It's really, I think it's important to have your business account, and then you have a savings account where you can take 30% of each closing and put it into that savings account. And that's for your quarterly tax, so that you don't get blindsided and have to come out of personal pocket for it. It's a
yes. And also note that quarterly taxes, just like everything else with the government, it doesn't make sense. Quarterly taxes does not mean March, June, September, December. They have their own dates you have to do it on.
Yep.
So you can check the IRS website for those dates.
And if you don't do it on their dates, then it becomes more expensive, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I'm confused. I'm going to ask a question about that, because I've not heard anything about, I've always paid my taxes at the end, once a year. Are we not allowed to pay them once a year?
You're allowed to do anything. It's just going to be more expensive.
So
and eventually
$500, you get penalized like $500 if you don't pay it quarterly.
But if I'm not making anything yet, how can I pay it?
Well, you only taxed on your income. So if you haven't made anything, then you don't need to provide any estimates, right? You don't know any taxes.
So for any quarter, you take what you've earned in that quarter and you fill out the quarterly estimated tax payment form for the IRS, and you pay taxes for the IRS based on what you made that quarter. So if you made nothing that quarter, you don't have to fill that out.
So where do you get that? I've never heard that.
IRS.gov.
Okay, good to know.
We are business owners, y'all. There is a lot of the things that when we were employees, our bosses or HR or whatever was taking care of for us. We have that responsibility too. The benefit to being a business owner, guys, is we can make whatever we want to make. right? And we can work whenever we want to work. But you don't just get that freedom and flexibility because you raise your hand and say, I'm a realtor now. You got to earn it, right? We go out and earn it by having a lot of sales and helping a lot of families. And so we can have the things we want out of life, right? We can design our life. We can have a great life by design. Does that make sense?
And I just strongly recommend you talk to a CPA, you know, to get yourself set up properly and to get correct tax advice. What we're telling you are kind of generalities, but it can vary based on, you know, your specific situation and what you can deduct. Like Bill said, his guy's very conservative. Some are very liberal. Some people deduct things they should not. You can't deduct your closings. You can't deduct your manicures. You know, if you take the mileage for your vehicle, that encompasses everything for your vehicle. So you can't then deduct car washes or repairs or maintenance or things like that.
Yeah, I mean, somebody might disagree with this, but I would say if you have a relatively new car that's in good shape, I'd probably go the mileage route. If you have an older car that's not in good shape, I'd probably go the repair route. Right. So you gotta think through, I'm not driving quite as much as I drove 10 years ago. You see what I'm saying? So I think on my old car, I used the expenses, and on my new car, I used, or new 8 years ago, started to use the mileage instead. Okay.
And I just want to say it's not that hard to do what is suggested here, and it'll give you a really underlying sense of confidence and pride that you are a business owner and that you are treating your business like a business. And this is one way that you can check that off the list. So it's important.
I love the psychological side of it. Thank you for adding that, Candace. That's, if that's what tracking does, is it helps us kind of take stock of like, how is our business performing, right? And think if you were a publicly traded company, they examine every little thing you do and every little thing that you say, right? So I love that. This is proof that what all of our activities are either working or not working. Julian, did you want to add something?
I was just going to say that Bob Kalinsky's class actually suggested each of us have 7 bank accounts, which I was going, what?
I was starting small on that, but yes, I do currently have 7 accounts because I have met with Bob a bunch of times. We're actually in the process of trying to make that happen, but Bob's got some requirements that make it a little tough for COVID to teach the class. However, he has like capital accounts for your business, savings accounts for your business, tax accounts. He's got capital accounts for your personal, savings accounts for your personal. He's got a lot of different stuff. One day, when all of you guys are crushing it, we will spend some time kind of going through that. But in the meantime, what we need to focus on is conversations lead to appointments, appointments lead to closings, closings lead to paychecks, and then paychecks need to be organized so you stay compliant with the government, right? But don't spend the next 2 weeks organizing your spreadsheet for how you're going to organize your income that you haven't created yet. Let's go create the income first. Okay. Make sense? Okay. Last request for March 1st. Please report your numbers. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. And don't forget, the small groups will start this week. If you have any issue with those groups, please let me know right away. And I hopefully will see you guys at the business planning session at 11:30 on the KW Roswell page. Okay. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Bill.